Hi, I'm Jerry Wise, and I'm a therapist at Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about some advice as to what you can do if your marriage is in a crisis. Many times couples will call and they're in a crisis in their relationship. Maybe they're having a considerable amount of conflict, or their marriage has broken down. And I'd like to share with you 6 steps that can be of help when things have really gotten to a bad place in your relationship. First of all, I recommend that the couple stop arguing. One of the things that's important to remember is that the arguing usually keeps the status quo in place. And so if we just continue to recycle and go round and round with our arguments, complaints, trying to be understood, and trying to get empathy, oftentimes there's been layers of anger, frustration, or past issues that makes that impossible at this point. And so continuing that behavior doesn't seem to help the relationship and often continues to wound and hurt the relationship. Much like when a relationship has severe wounds, one of the things we do is rub salt in the wounds by our arguing, throwing anger back and forth. And I really advise and encourage couples to step back, to really work hard at stepping back at this point. It's hard to do, but it's very important for us to do some detaching at this point, because the couple often at times have locked horns at this stage in their conflict. And if there's any way we can begin to ease that, is maybe begin to work on what we say, how we look, and how we're reactive, and try to reduce those as much as possible. I understand that these steps that I'm offering to you are not a complete fix for marriage relationships, but they are kind of the triage or the beginning steps for when the couple comes in, like coming into an ER. These are the first things we have to try to accomplish before we can begin to apply treatment to help resolve and heal the relationship. Second of all, I encourage couples to begin learning about relationships. Maybe you're not even ready for therapy, but we're always ready for learning, and that can be done through books. And some say, well, I'm not really a reader. Well, maybe if you're not ready to read a book, then maybe you can begin to read some articles. We have articles online at familytreecounseling.com. There are articles on the web that can help with relationships and begin to give you advice as to what maybe you can stop doing at this point to try to keep things from getting worse. And if articles don't work, then there are videos you can begin to watch. Also, podcasts can help. We want to begin to infuse our relationship with solutions and infuse our relationship with beginning to learn about relationships. Maybe we haven't done that work up to this point, and we need to begin to educate ourselves about marriage and about how intimate relationships work. Thirdly, I encourage couples to focus on self-care. Oftentimes our focus has gone into the we-ness part of the relationship or our marriage, and we stay in the fight, in the argument, and we really do need to step back and focus on ourselves. I don't mean in a selfish way, but I mean to begin to energize ourselves with self-care, whether that means a weekend out with the girls or going out with the guys and enjoying something that you would enjoy, going to a movie, taking some time off, whatever would bring some pleasure to help ease the pain at this particular time. We want to get our focus off the relationship because it's really hurting right now, and kind of get our focus on ourselves and what we can do to begin to regenerate ourselves. during this self-focus, we want to also challenge our worrying. Challenge our anger, challenge our reactivity. We want to really resist those things, and that can be best accomplished through self-care. Maybe that's journaling, maybe that's going out and having coffee, going to church, taking a retreat, something that would begin to bring some calmness and healing to your own soul and to your own heart. That's very important during the early stages in which a marriage has really broken down. I think fourthly, another step is to work hard at positive thinking. And I don't mean by that unrealistic thinking, positive thinking. I mean, we've probably become so focused on the negative parts of our relationship and the negative parts of our spouse or partner that we really do need to begin to focus or journal or think about the positive sides of our significant other. There have been good things. There have been reasons why we chose them. They have also done some good things in our lives. They've been kind. They've loved us. They've done some positive things in parenting or support. And we really do need to focus on that right now because our minds have become so weighted down with the negative parts of our relationship. We really do need to focus on some positive sides. It takes work, but that work is really important during this stage of healing. Fifthly, I think it's important that we keep the kids out of our marriage. What I mean by that is we don't use the kids to fight. We don't argue using the kids or blaming our spouse or shaming our spouse using our kids or children. We also want to be careful how we involve other people in our relationship. I don't mean that we have to keep secrets, but there are some things that are appropriately private and should be kept between us. We want to watch how we argue and that we not use parents or other family members to strengthen our arguments. We want to be careful about creating triangles with other people. Going to our spouse and saying, well, Betty and I agree that you're wrong, or, your mom and I agree that you're wrong. And that only fuels the fire. So we want to be careful about how we involve other people in the hurtful and painful part of our relationship. It doesn't mean we can't reach out to others for support. That's okay. But reach out to those who would be objective and try not to take sides in the relationship. Someone who's mature or wise, use them as a support. That often can help ease our pain at this time. And then lastly, sixth, I do ask and suggest that couples get help. If we're going to try to do all of these things, we can't think, well, things are just going to stay the same from here on out. We really do need a plan and a strategy for what are we going to do in the future. And that's where we really do need some help because we're often not very objective or detached at this point. We're caught up in the arguments. We can't see outside the box. We can't see outside our problems. And so that's where we need some outside help. We need a good marriage therapy, good marriage counseling, someone who can help us to see above, around, and beyond our problems, can instill hope, can begin to show us right away some ways in which we can begin to ease the problems in our relationship and start our progress towards healing and recovery. And I think so getting some help for yourself, I think, is very important. Couples and marriages are worth that. We've invested a lot of time and energy. We have kids involved. Many times couples will spend thousands of dollars on a new car and wouldn't even consider paying $25 for counseling. And I think that's a shame because our relationship is very important and probably more important than pizzas or a new car because we're talking about a life relationship that affects all areas of our lives. And so we really need to rearrange our priorities and put our relationship first.